The Dutch say that learning is a verb. So let's step inside a typical classroom and see who's actually doing it. Meet the teacher, the harder she rows, the less comes back, and it's easy to conclude nobody here needs what she's giving. Adding interactive work costs her another evening, and then she spends the lesson fighting the chaos instead of teaching. And meet the students. One could get it all from chatbot anyway. One won't say a word because who knows what they think of him. One is counting the minutes until football. Same room, everyone's exhausted. For a long time, school's superpower really was the knowledge it held. That is no longer scarce. But people, structure, and shared goals still are. So here is what we built. Interaction without chaos, corporative structures that run themselves. Every step appears on the screen, everyone knows what to do, and there is nothing to prepare. Read the structure and try it the same minute. Methods, live activity, and printable cards are in one place in Dutch, English, and Ukrainian. 2 buyers, 2 promises. The teacher gets an activating lesson without extra work, usable tomorrow morning. The school gets consistent activating didactics across the whole team instead of depending on one enthusiast. Underneath both, facilitated rather than screen-based, trauma-sensitive, built on Kahgan, liberating structures, intervisions, so on. And to be clear about what it is. A startup on its own money, no investors, built to pay for itself. Oksana Oliinyk, and I am the founder of LudensFlow. In practice, I am also the project manager, the product manager, the designer, the developer, the UX researcher, and the instructional designer who writes this content. And number 2 on that list is why we are here today. If I can manage that internal team, the external one should be easier. Along the way, it stopped being only me. Valeria Geldas joined as founding member specialist. Everything here I started from nothing. First, my own language school, then a video blog, then a public library, then the museum in the village, then a school location built from scratch in the Netherlands. LudensFlow is the 6th, and the first one where all of it comes together. I did 4 assessments, and they all said the same thing in different words. Clifton strengths, ideation, and strategic. I generate option. I do not execute one fixed path. MBTI, ENTP. I explore, test, adapt, disc, I with the D. People and results, not procedure. And the brain first neurocognitive profile. Deep focus combined with flexibility, which drops sharply after a rigid plan. Put together, that is not someone who should run a waterfall. That is why I work iteratively and incrementally. The method matches my brain instead of fighting it. I started this project just alone, and I'm building it open, transparency and agreements instead of control, and AI can hold the order. What I want to build, either way, is good habits for the schools, for myself. This is my first experience using Confluence for a real project. I decided to use it as a single source of truth for LudensFlow. On the overview page, a new team member can quickly understand what LudensFlow is, who is it for, our current stage, our vision and principles, and find links to our key resources. One of the most important pages is the project charter. Here I document purpose, scope, deliverables, validation criteria, risks, school outreach plan, governance and authority, and so on. During the project, I decided to divide it in two different projects. The first one ran from March to July 2026 and focused on creating and validating the MVP. We started with 10 standalone interactive players. Teachers tested them in real classrooms and gave us feedback on what was clear, what was confusing, and what was missing. Based on this feedback, we built the platform. Today, the library contains 34 learning formats with interactive players, facilitator guidance, and a tagging and search system. We also created the About and the blog sections, started our LinkedIn and YouTube channels, and worked on CEO using Ahrefs and Google Search Console. We also created a work breakdown structure with the packages, here is code, work package, key deliverable, dependencies. Based on traditional project planning, project one was estimated at around 11 and a half weeks. You see the preparation, the design, the development, testing, the release support, all the waterfall, but we obviously didn't do it that way. Real project history is here. We divided it just into product and marketing. Yes, that's how it looks in here. Different approaches for different types of work. In the original LudensFlow project here, it is organized as Kanban board. The project itself is finished, but I still use this board for ongoing product improvements, so it gradually is becoming an ongoing product management board. We also have a separate marketing Kanban board here, so marketing tasks and ideas don't get mixed with product development. But LudensFlow 2.0 is different. This is project 2, focused on building the premium functionality. And here I use Scrum. I divided the scope into ethics and user stories with descriptions, with acceptance criteria, with Gherkin scenarios. Sprint 1 is completed, as you see. We closed 13 work items and 25 here still remain. And I'm now preparing Sprint 2, and I expect the remaining development to take 2 more sprints. And this is where I learned an important lesson about scope management. Sprint 1 started at around 70 story points, but grew to about 94 as my understanding of the product developed and new requirements appeared. For the next sprints, I want to be more disciplined about what is really necessary now and what should go back into the backlog. What I learned from this project is that project management is not about making the original plan happen exactly as expected. Some of my initial planning was too optimistic. The scope changed, some assumptions turned out to be wrong, and some validation is still in progress. But now I can see these differences, understand why they happened, and use them to make a better decision in the future. I also learned that Jira and Confluence don't create structure by themselves. The value comes from the habits behind them, documenting decision, making work visible, reviewing progress, learning from feedback, and keeping the team aligned. And probably my biggest lesson is that structure and flexibility don't have to compete. I can work iteratively, change direction when the reality gives me new information, and still keep the project organized and transparent. That's the project management habit I want to take from my LudensFlow experience into the future of project.